Proper paper preparation is essential for ensuring a smooth, hassle-free printing session. Accurate tearing can alleviate problems in registration. Calendering can help prevent paper stretch in printing. Proper preparation can also help minimize problems with inks, texture, push, pressure, and many other factors. Rag paper has a front and a back side, or the felt side and screen side. Lithography is almost always printed on the felt side of the paper to avoid the screen pattern from appearing in the printed imagery. Most papers also include watermarks, which can be detrimental in some printing processes, such as flats. When possible, it is best to tear off a watermark. If the watermark remains, it should always land in the same position on the paper and should never be upside down. Paper decals can give a warmth and handmade look to the paper. At Tamarind, we prefer to tear paper so that any decals end up either on the bottom or the right side of the print. However, torn, cut, or decaled edges can all influence the eventual content and aesthetic of a print and should be discussed with the artist. Paper should be checked for any inconsistencies before preparing it for printing. For example, though we say a paper is 22 inches by 30 inches, its actual size may be 22.5 inches by 30 inches. It may have slightly curved edges or could be susceptible to slight humidity changes, which can affect registration between printing days if not considered. These unique characteristics must be taken into account when choosing and preparing a paper. Before tearing your paper, you should ensure the correct printing size required for your chosen registration method. Pin registration requires extra paper to accommodate the pinholes that must be torn off after the addition is complete. Once you have determined the needed size, choose a clean, flat work surface to tear on. A tearing jig will help reduce the amount of time spent measuring and marking. Use a gridded cutting mat or a sheet of newsprint marked with marks or guides to indicate the edges of the paper and where to place the tear bar. If you are using a sheet with decals or that is an irregular shape, include additional marks to help you center the paper within a bounding box to account for minor variations in the paper. Place your paper felt side or printing side down, screen side or back side up. Choose a tear bar that provides sufficient support and that has good contact along the tearing edge. Place the tear bar on your guides, holding it down with firm pressure from your non-dominant hand, and use your dominant hand to gently hold the sheet. Pull the sheet up and into the bar, curving it slightly over the center of the bar. Do not go too far over the center of the bar, especially if your bar has a thick edge, as this will abrade the edge of the paper. Not going far enough over the bar may also cause tear out along the edge of the sheet. Lightly burnish the torn edge of the paper. For long tears, reposition your other hand along the edge of the tear bar to provide support near the area you are tearing. If you are using both of the sheets you have just torn, turn one of the sheets 180 degrees so that the watermarks, decals, and any curved edges will be consistent throughout the stack. Set the torn sheets aside and continue tearing the next sheet. If you have multiple tears to get to your final printing size, tear all of your sheets first in one direction and then the other. Since you will likely be tearing off many identifying marks on your paper, keep your stacks organized with the printing side down and in the proper orientation. Each sheet of paper for the addition should have tears, decals, and identifying marks in the same location. Calendering, or pre-stretching and flattening a heavy rag paper, helps to ensure your registration remains consistent throughout an addition, alleviates the heavy texture of some papers, and generally allows you to use less ink to achieve a good print by compressing the paper fibers. Calendering is not usually necessary for thinner Eastern papers. Calendering your paper should be done before any registration marks are added or the paper punched. Select a scraper bar that is larger than your paper, but smaller than your backer. Place a clean sheet of newsprint on a plate backer or clean stone that is larger than your paper. Set your start and stop and adjust your pressure to just slightly less than printing pressure. Use a paper brush to ensure your rag paper is free from contaminants, and then place it face down in the direction that it will eventually be printed through the press. Top it with another sheet of clean newsprint and place the tympan on top. Run the paper through the press 2 to 3 times in the printing direction. You may reuse newsprint while calendering, as long as it remains clean and relatively unwrinkled, as wrinkles can emboss your good paper. It is important that you continue to keep your paper stacks organized. Calendering and printing perpendicular to the grain can cause the paper to form waves. It is best avoided when possible. If you must print against the grain, try to use less pressure when calendering and printing.